Okay, good morning to my fellow block members, the Secretariat, technical board people, technical personnel who prepared the class and program report, and to our YouTube live viewers, good morning. Today, July 17, 2025, is a private conference for contract ID number 25DJ0078. But before we start, I request everyone to please stand for the opening prayer.
Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered together. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work. Help us to work together and encourage each other to excellence. We ask that we would challenge each other to reach higher and farther to be the best we can be. We ask this in the name of the Lord. Amen.
Please be seated. May I request the Secretariat to please show in our video screen the selection of the observers for today's private conference.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning to everyone. Our invited observers from the selection, official observers, first from the DPWH CSOs, for contract 2026-2078, is the Confederation of Filipino Consulting Organization for the Common. And our selected observer, the DPWH Revetment Group, is the National Constructors Associations of the Philippines Incorporated. Therefore, Mr. Chair, let's call our selected official observers.
Thank you, Engineer Johnson Rivera. May we know if invitation was served to these selected observers?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we sent invitation to our official observers. First, Mr. Antonio Joel Oraka, State Auditor Audit Leader of Commission Audit, letter dated July, and 2025 was fully investigated on the same day. And our second observer is Dr. Jocelyn R.P., the President of Confederation of Filipino Consulting Organization from Quezon City, a letter dated July 10, 2025, was sent on last July 11, 2025 at 10:20 a.m. And our last observer, Engineer Gladys P. Borjo, the alternate observer of National Constructors Association of the Philippines Incorporated, or the NACA, from Noveva Vizcaya, a letter dated July 10, 2025, was sent July 11, 2025 at 10:23 in the evening. And that is all, Mr. Chair, for our invitation to our official observers.
Once again, thank you, Engineer Jocelyn Rivera. It seems that our invited observers are not present this morning, but I hope they are watching us now in our YouTube live streaming. Again, Secretariat, may we have the attendance if we have a call for today's private conference. Thank you.
Everyone, I will now proceed with the roll call of attendance from the back members. Engineer Danilo A. Bernabé,
Present.
back chairperson. Engineer Ferdinand E. F. Vallagos, back vice chairperson. The back regular members. Engineer Hardy Rex L. Lopez. And Engineer Christopher L. Dash. The back provisional members. Engineer Herbert M. Agudelo. and Engineer Landry A. Lina.
Present.
The back secretary members, yours truly, Joseph E. Vidal, Engineer Z. Vidal C. Valdez,
Present.
Ma'am Gretchen R. Infanta, Sir Paul R. Tomadas, and Sir Marco Roy Ben Cajo. And we have a representative from the end user implementing unit, Engineer Peter Neil A. Serrano. Therefore, Mr. Chair, majority of the attenders of parties in our assembly today are present. Therefore, Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Once again, thank you so much, Engineer Joseph Tigana, from the procurement staff. Since we have a quorum, the back chair now declares that the procurement activity this morning, credit conference or contract ID number 25BJ0078 is now officially in order. Allow me to read the agenda for the credit conference this morning. Number one, the basic contract data. This will be discussed to us by Engineer Neil Segal from the Planning and Design section. Second agenda, questions, comments from leaders in the present body and other representative of the procuring entity if there is any. Number three agenda, requirements of the bidding documents. Number four, documents to be submitted by the bidder, including technical and financial proposals. Proposed amendments, if there is any. Number six, agenda, criteria and procedure for the preliminary examination of the bids, detailed evaluation of bids, cost verification and award. We have an audio recorded for this particular agenda. Number seven, other matters in our announcement, if there are any. And the last agenda is the summary of proceedings, including bid bulletins and our agenda to be issued if there is any. But before we go to the agenda proper, may I request the Secretariat to please play the audio recorded, particularly on section 22 of the 2016 revised implementing rules and regulations and the latest GTPD issuances. Secretariat, please.
Section 22. Rebid conference. Section 22.1. For contracts to be bid with an ABC of 1 million pesos or more, the bank shall convene at least one rebid conference to clarify and or explain any of the requirements, terms, conditions, and specifications stipulated in the bidding documents. For contracts to be bid with an ABC of less than 1 million pesos, rebid conferences may be conducted at the discretion of the bank. Subject to the approval of the bank, a pre-bid conference may also be conducted upon written request of any prospective bidder. Section 22.2, the pre-bid conference shall be held at least 12 calendar days before the deadline for the submission and receipt of bids, but not earlier than 7 calendar days from the PhilJet's posting. Section 22.3, the pre-bid conference shall discuss, clarify, and explain, among other things, eligibility requirements and the technical and financial components of contract to be bid, including questions and clarifications raised by the prospective bidders before and during the pre-bid conference. Section 22.4, the minutes of the pre-bid conference shall be recorded and prepared not later than 5 calendar days after the pre-bid conference and shall be made available to prospective bidders not later than 5 days upon written request. Decisions of the bank amending any provision of the bidding documents shall be issued in writing through a supplemental or bid bulletin at least 7 calendar days before the deadline for the submission and receipt of bids. Section 22.5 supplemental / bid bulletin section 22.5.1 request for clarifications on any part of the bidding documents or for an interpretation must be in writing and submitted to the bank of the procuring entity concerned at least 10 calendar days before the deadline set for the submission and receipt of bids. Section 22.5.2 for purposes of clarifying or modifying any provision of the bidding documents.
supplemental or bid bulletins may be issued upon the procuring entity's initiative at least 7 calendar days before the deadline for the submission and receipt of bids. Any modification to the bidding documents shall be identified as an amendment. Section 22.5.3 N supplemental/bid bulletin issued by the BAP shall also be posted in the PhilGems, the website of the procuring entity concerned, if available, and at any conspicuous place within the premises of the procuring entity. It shall be the responsibility of all those who have properly secured the bidding documents to inquire and secure supplemental or bid bulletins that may be issued by the BAP. However, bidders who have submitted bids before the issuance of the supplemental or bid bulletin must be informed and allowed to modify or withdraw their bids in accordance with Section 26 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184.
This one is the Section 22.20.
Thank you, Secretariat. We go now to the agenda number. The number one agenda is the basic contract data. This will be presented to us by Engineer Nick Serrano. Nick, please.
With the contract ID 25BD0078, name of contract, PRF, Rehabilitation of Disaster-Related Infrastructure and Other Facilities, Rehabilitation, Reconstruction of Santa Cruz Labor Revetment 6, 0 plus 248 to 0 plus 850 to 1 plus 220, 1 plus 370 to 0 plus 450, Kayapa, Nueva Vizcaya. Location of the contract, Kayapa, Nueva Vizcaya. Approved budget for the contract, 36,716,250. Scope of work, construction of 290 linear meter rubber concrete revetment structure with steel sheet piles, footing protection. Contract duration, 182 calendar days. Cost of bidding documents is 25,000 pesos. Source of fund, GAA FY 2025. Date of bidding, July 30, 2025. The total length of the proposed project as per program offered is 209.5 linear meter. This is the key location map showing the location of the proposed project at Kayapa, Nueva Vizcaya. Here is the vicinity map showing the proposed alignment of the proposed flood control project. Here are the geotag pictures at the start and end of the proposed flood control project. Here is the schedule of rubble concrete and sheet pile. We have 3 sections. At section 1, it has a total length of 70 meters. At section 2, 100 meters, and section 3, 39.5 meters. The typical section of the rubble concrete has a total height of 6 meters with 1 meter minimum depth foundation. It has a base width of 3.3 meters and a top width of 0.45 meters and an embankment of 5 meters in width. The pile cap is 0.5 by 0.5 with 6 12 mm diameter with 10 mm diameter stirrup space at 0.3 meter on center. This steel sheet pile has a depth of 9 meters. The schedule of channelization, we have the total length of, at section 1, 105.5 meters, and at section 2, 24.5 meters. That is all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nate. Secretariat, do we have any questions, comments, or clarification regarding the presented class and yes, do we have any question, comments, or query regarding the presented plans?
None, Mr. Chair.
There is none. So we go to agenda number 3, which is the requirements of bidding documents. For agenda number 3, this will be presented to us by Engineer Joseph Vidal. Joseph, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the requirements of the bidding documents in the form of PPT for contract with 2017. ITP clause 5.2. For this purpose, contracts similar to the project refer to contracts which have the same major categories where which shall be the major category of entities, SSPS, flood control, construction, snow protection, new steam, structural measures. And blue, the above SLCC must be supported by an owner certificate of final acceptance issued by the project owner other than the contractor or a final rating for of at least satisfactory in the constructor's performance evaluation system or CPES. In case of contracts with the private sector, an equivalent document shall be submitted. Qualifier, similar works with at least 50% of the item of work of the project. 7.1, subcontracting is not allowed. 10.3, further instructions. 10.4, the key personnel must meet the required minimum years of experience. For project manager, project engineer, or man and safety officer, general experience must be at least 3 years, and a relevant experience of at least 3 years. Materials engineer must be at least DPWH accredited materials engineer board. Accredited safety officer required upon issuance of NOVA, subject to DEO 19 series of 2014, submission of construction safety and health program approved by the district engineer of DPWH Nueva Vizcaya, second DEO. And the key personnel should meet the following number of years of experience. Number 1, experience means total years of city works experience of any nature in construction engineering consultancy services. And in compliance to DEO 98 series of 2016 revised guidelines on accreditation of contractors or consultants materials engineer, should include accreditation number and contract number of the materials engineer. IT clause 10.5, it stated the minimum major equipment requirements in the IT clause 10.5. And number 2, laboratory equipment is good. Please refer to DEO 11 series of 2017 for the minimum materials testing equipment. And that is all, Mr. Chair, for the requirements of the bidding document.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. So we go now to the agenda number 4, which is document to be submitted by the bidder, including technical and financial proposals. For this particular agenda, we have an audio recorded, and I request again the Secretariat to please play the audio recorded for agenda number 4. Thank you.
Requirements for technical and financial documents, procurement for civil works. 1. Technical component envelope. Class A documents. Legal documents. A. Valid field JEPS registration certificate, platinum membership, all pages, in accordance with section 8.5.2 of the IR. Technical documents. B. Statement of the prospective bidder of all its ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid. And C. Statement of the bidder's single largest completed contract or SLCC similar to the contract to be bid, except under conditions provided under the rules. And D. Special PCAP license in case of joint ventures and registration for the type and cost of the contract to be paid. And E. Original copy of bid security. If in the form of a surety bond, submit also a certification issued by the Insurance Commission or original copy of notarized bid security declaration. And F. Project requirements, which shall include the following. A. Organizational chart for the contract to be bid. B. List of contractors' key personnel. Example, project manager, project engineers, materials engineers, and foremen to be assigned to the contract to be bid with their complete qualification and experience data. C. List of contractors' major equipment units, which are owned, leased, and or under purchase agreements, supported by proof of ownership or certification of availability of equipment from the equipment lessor/vendor for the duration of the project, as the case may be. And G. Original duly signed omnibus sworn statement or OSS, and if applicable, original notarized secretary certificate in case of a corporation, partnership, or cooperative, or original special power of attorney of all members of the joint venture giving full power and authority to its officer to sign the OSS and to act to represent the bidder. Financial documents. H. The prospective bidder's computation of net financial contracting capacity or NFCC. Class B documents. I. If applicable, duly signed joint venture agreement or JV in accordance with RE number 45C. In case the joint venture is already in existence, or duly notarized statements from all the potential joint venture partners stating that they will enter into and abide by the provisions of the JVA in the instance that the bid is successful. 2. Financial component envelope. J. Original of duly signed and accomplished financial bid form. Other documentary requirements under RA number 9184. K. Original of duly signed bid prices with a bill of quantities. And L. Duly accomplished detailed estimates form, including a summary sheet indicating the unit prices of construction materials, labor rates, and equipment rentals used in coming up with the bid. And M. Cash flow by quarter.
And that is all, Mr. Chair, for the required documents to be submitted by the bidders.
Thank you, Secretariat. Once again, do we have any comments on the discussed agenda number 3, the requirements of the meeting documents, and agenda number 4, documents to be submitted by the bidder, including technical and financial proposal?
Not
Meron
Mr.
tayong
Chair.
tanong dyan?
Not Mr. Chair.
There is none. So, with regards to agenda number 5, this is proposed amendments. Therefore, we do not have any amendments to the contract ID, to the contract, particularly for the rehabilitation of disaster-related infrastructure in other facilities, for rehabilitation and reconstruction of Santa River Revetment. So we go now to agenda number 6, which is the criteria and procedure for the preliminary examination of the bids, detailed evaluation of bids, cost qualification, and award. Again, we request the Secretariat to please play the audio recorded for this particular agenda. Thank you.
Detailed bid evaluation. For the procurement of infrastructure projects, the purpose of bid evaluation is to determine the lowest calculated bid using the following steps. 1. The bank shall immediately conduct a detailed evaluation of all bids using non-discretionary criteria, considering the following. A. Completeness of the bid. Unless the instructions to bidders specifically allow partial bids, bids not addressing or providing all of the required items in the bidding documents included where applicable. Bill of quantities shall be considered non-responsive and thus automatically disqualified. In this regard, where a required item is provided, but no price is indicated, the same shall be considered as non-responsive, but specifying a zero or a dash for the said item would mean that it is being offered for free to the government. And B, arithmetical corrections. Correct computational errors and omissions to enable proper comparison of all eligible bids. It may also consider bid modifications if expressly allowed in the bidding documents. Any adjustment shall be calculated in monetary terms to determine the calculated prices. 2. The bank shall evaluate all bids on an equal footing to ensure fair and competitive bid comparison. For this purpose, all bidders shall be required to include the cost of all taxes, such as, but not limited to, value-added tax or VAT, income tax, local taxes, and other fiscal levies and duties which shall be itemized in the bid form and reflected in the detailed estimates. Such bids, including said taxes, shall be the basis for bid evaluation and comparison. 3. In case of discrepancies between A. Bid prices in figures and in words, the latter shall prevail. B. Total price of the item and unit price of the item as extended or multiplied by the quantity of that item, the latter shall prevail. C. Stated total price and the actual sum of prices of component items, the latter shall prevail. D. Unit cost in the detailed estimate and unit cost in the bill of quantities, the latter shall prevail. 4. Bids shall then be ranked in the ascending order of their total calculated bid prices, as evaluated and corrected for computational errors, and other bid modifications to identify the lowest calculated bid. Total calculated bid prices, as evaluated and corrected for computational errors, and other bid modifications, which exceed the ABC shall be disqualified.
Post-qualification. Objective and process of post-qualification. 1. The lowest calculated bid shall undergo post-qualification to determine whether the bidder concerned complies with and is responsive to all the requirements and conditions as specified in the bidding documents. 2. Within 5 calendar days from receipt by the bidder of the notice from the bank that the bidder has the lowest calculated bid, the bidder shall submit to the bank its latest income and business tax returns and other appropriate licenses and permits required by law and stated in the bidding documents. Failure to submit any of the post-qualification requirements on time or a finding against the veracity thereof shall disqualify the bidder for award, provided that in the event that a finding against the veracity of any of the documents submitted is made, it shall cause the forfeiture of the bid security in accordance with Section 69 of the 2016 Revised Implementing Rules and Regulations, or IRR of Republic Act Number 9184. 3. The post-qualification shall verify, validate, and ascertain the veracity, authenticity, and validity of all the Class A eligibility documents supporting the field check certificate of registration and membership in accordance with Section 8.5.2 of the 2016 Revised IRR of RA number 9184, and all the other statements made and documents submitted by the bidder with the lowest calculated bid using non-discretionary criteria as stated in the bidding documents. These criteria shall consider, but shall not be limited to, the following. A. Legal requirements. To verify, validate, and ascertain licenses, certificates, permits, and agreements submitted by the bidder, and the fact that it is not included in any blacklist, as provided in Section 25.3 of the 2016 Revised IRR of RA number 9184. For this purpose, the GBBB shall maintain a consolidated file of all blacklisted suppliers, contractors, and consultants. B. Technical requirements. To determine compliance of the infrastructure projects offered with the requirements specified in the bidding documents, including, where applicable, I. Verification and validation of the bidder's stated competence and experience, and the competence and experience of the bidder's key personnel to be assigned to the project for the procurement of infrastructure projects. 2. Verification of availability and commitment, and/or inspection and testing for the required capacities and operating conditions of equipment units to be owned/leased/under purchased by the bidder for use in the contract under bidding, as well as checking the performance of the bidder in its ongoing government and private contracts, if any of these ongoing contracts shows. 8. Negative slippage of at least 15% in any one project or a negative slippage of at least 10% in each of two or more contracts. B. Failure of the contractor to commence repair works on ongoing contracts within 7 calendar days and to complete them within 30 calendar days after receipt of the procuring entity's notice of defects and deficiencies. C. Failure of the contractor to commence repair works on contracts with pending certificates of acceptance within 30 calendar days and complete them within 90 days after receipt of the procuring entity's notice of defects and failures. 4. D. Substandard quality of work as per contract plans and specifications, or unsatisfactory performance of the contractor's obligations as per contract terms and conditions at the time of inspection. If the bank verifies any of these deficiencies to be due to the contractor's fault or negligence, the agency shall disqualify the contractor from the award for the procurement of infrastructure projects. 3. Ascertainment of the authenticity of the bid security and its correctness as to type, amount, form, and wording, and validity period as required in the bidding documents. C. Financial requirements. To verify, validate, and ascertain the bid price proposal of the bidder and, whenever applicable, the required committed line of credit in the amount specified and over the period stipulated in the bidding documents, or the bidder's NFCC to ensure that the bidder can sustain the operating cash flow of the transaction. The determination of the lowest calculated and responsive bid, or LCRB, is guided by sections 34.4 to 34.8 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184. The bank will recommend to the home the award of contract to the bidder with the LCRB in accordance with section 57 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184, which outlines the procedures for the notice and execution of award.
And that is all, Mr. Chair, for the procedures and criteria for detailed evaluation and field execution of award.
Thank you, Secretariat. So we go now to agenda number 7, other matters and our announcement. Secretariat, do we have any announcement?
Yes, Mr. Chair, for the announcement for reminders, we have the procurement activity opening of bids on July 22, 2025 at 9 a.m. here in conference room for one goods and services project with contract ID number 25GBJ13. This is the contract for supply or provision of diesel fuel and related gasoline and lubricants for use of various vehicles, heavy equipment, brass cutters, and generators of the district. And our second procurement activity, opening of bids on July 30, 2025 at 9 p.m. here in conference room. For one city works project, the contract ID number 25BJ007. And that is all, Mr. Chair, for the announcement for reminders.
Once again, thank you, Engineer Santiago from the Secretariat. We go now to the last agenda, which is number 8, for the summary of proceedings, including bid bulletins and our addenda to be issued. We have already discussed all the agenda, particularly for private conference. There will be no bid bulletin or addenda to be issued since there are no comments, questions, or queries on the published bid documents for contract ID number 25 BJ 0078. So we're going to sustain the leading document as published in the DPWH website and also in the PIPJEX website. Any announcement from my fellow board members? There is none. So do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Mr. Chair, I move for the adjournment of the procurement activity.
Any second the motion? It has been moved and seconded that the procurement activity this morning, July 17, 2025, for contract ID number 25 BJ 0778 is now officially adjourned. Thank you everyone, and also thank you to our YouTube live viewers. Muli, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Thank you.